Hello, happy Thursday. We've made it to Thursday, which is crazy for me. I'm having one of those weeks. I don't know about you, but I'm having one of those weeks where I'm going to tweak this a little bit. Hold on. Hopefully my phone doesn't fall. Don't worry about it if it does. I'm here if it does fall. Okay, good. I didn't like the position of it, so I wanted to change it a little bit. I don't know about you, but I've been having one of those weeks where like every day seems like the wrong day. So it's just been kind of a crazy week for me where like I woke up on Monday and I thought it was Wednesday. It wasn't. I woke up on Tuesday, thought it was Thursday. I woke up on Wednesday thinking it was still Tuesday somehow. And then woke up today thinking today was Wednesday. So it's like I've either been a day ahead or a day behind. So I'm excited that tomorrow's Friday. But I wanted to come on because I have gotten some great ideas, and I apologize because I'm going to kind of just go off my little bullet points that I have and not really go off of like, normally I kind of have like a syllabus, if you will, and I have like bullet points of like, this is how I want the flow to go, and I don't really have that for this, so it's gonna kind of, I thought that failure is an option is a great title for this because that's kind of what inspired this particular video for me to talk about, because I'm going to talk about failure. And as I'm smiling, I'm going to talk about being a failure. It's fine. It's good. But like I always do, I start all of my live videos with a quote. Still reading this book, hoping to get through it by the weekend. It's been really good. I just need to actually sit down and read it. So the quote that I'm picking from it today, so "You are a badass," that's the title of the book in case you can't read it, because I know it's backwards and I don't know how to do the flippy thing. I don't know which button it is, and I don't want to make you just sit here for 5 minutes while I poke buttons on my phone and not have it work. But that's the name of the book. It's by Jen Sincero. The quote is, "The only failure is quitting. Everything else is just gathering information." And that just like really resonated with me because I feel like that's been kind of this journey that I've been on, is a lot of just gathering information. There have been a lot of things that I have not done well or failed at. So the book that kind of is inspiring this is by Jon Benjamin. If you don't know who that is, he's the voice of Archer for the cartoon. That's the word I was looking for. I was like, it's a C word. It's not. He's a comedian. But anyway, so he is the voice for Archer. And he's also the voice for Bob on the show Bob's Burgers. He has a great voice to listen to. Like so I listened to it as an audiobook, and he did his own narration of the book. And it was kind of fun for me to just like listen to him, because I could like, because I watched those shows, I almost kind of envisioned as he was like telling his anecdotes about his life and everything else. I kind of like envisioned him as one of those characters, which is kind of funny. But it was a really good book. And the reason why I had so much takeaway from it is because he kind of talks about all of these life experiences where he stumbled and like kind of just had to figure it out, and like had a goal or had something that he wanted to do, and was kind of like, I'm just gonna go do it, and then like it just didn't work out. And like the stories and the way that he tells them and like the mindset is just, I don't know, I thought it was great because I imagined him to be this kind of somewhat awkward person to be around, and at the same time though, he's totally relatable to me. Like totally relatable that like sometimes you just jump into something and you're like, I hope this works out, and then when it doesn't, like you just go with it and you learn from it. And that's what, like, that was what's so inspiring to me about the book, was that he just kind of learned from those different things of like, okay, I shouldn't do it that way. Yep, that's what I know. I know I shouldn't do it that way. And I really liked it because I think that that's a lot of what life is about, is learning. And so I finished that audiobook this morning, and then I started The 5-Second Rule by Robbins, which she is amazing. If you haven't heard of her, she's really awesome. So she created the 5-second rule, which the 5-second rule is basically, my understanding, again, I just started the book, is basically counting down from 5 and then taking action. So if you are worried about a decision, or if you don't know what to do or how to act, or if you're like in a state of depression or anxiety or something like that, it's just going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just physically moving and physically getting your body active in whatever way possible, and just getting out of that like locked mindset of like, I can't make a decision, I don't know what to do, or being just stressed and staying in that mindset, because it's bad to do that. Well, it's bad to just mull things over, because worrying is basically praying for the bad to happen. So when you worry about something, you're basically manifesting that bad outcome by worrying about it and overthinking and thinking, oh my gosh, the worst is going to happen. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be awful. So by playing those thoughts over and over and over in your head, that's the intention that you're saying. That's the message that you're putting out into the universe, that you expect that bad thing to happen, so that bad thing will happen. Anyway, so I started listening to that book, and then she talked about, in kind of the front part, I'm going to drink some water because I need to stay hydrated. It's summertime, so I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyway, okay. So, in the beginning parts of the book, she talks about a speaker. His name is, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I always have notes. It's just a matter of like if I follow them and like how well I follow them, because usually people jump on and they're like commenting, and I always try to comment back because I like to be super engaged. So if you jump on, say hi. If you're listening to this on replay, let me know. Send me a little heart or a happy face, or you know, whatever. Like, I miss you, because you know, I like to know. The speaker was David Foster Wallace, and he did a commencement speech in 2005. You can find it on YouTube, so you can go ahead and go on YouTube and look it up. It's about 20 minutes. I think maybe it's like 22 minutes, if I remember correctly. So it's great for like listening to on your commute, on your way to work, or before you go to bed, or if you just, or in the shower, or wherever, if you just like, there's nothing like going on, nothing visual about the video that like you need to pay attention to, so it's just a listening thing. I highly recommend it. It's really good and insightful. But one of the things that he talks about, and I've heard this story in multiple places, I didn't realize that this was where it originated. So I'm not sure if you've heard it, but I'll go ahead and just tell it to you so that you know. So basically there are these two fish, and they're swimming along and doing their thing. They're two young fish, and they're just like, whatever. And this older fish comes, and he's going the opposite direction. And he's like, hey there guys, how's the water? And they just keep swimming their direction. So the two young fish keep swimming. And then one looks to the other and goes, what the hell is water? So what I like about that story is how it just is a matter of perspective, and just knowing that there's a whole bunch of things going on, and there's a whole bunch of things around you that to be aware of and pay attention to. And if you're not aware of them, then you can't necessarily pay attention to them. So it's all about perspective. One of the things that he also mentions in his speech is something called blind certainty. So basically it's when you're a prisoner, but you're so unaware of your imprisonment that you don't realize that you're a prisoner. And I took that as a takeaway for failure, because I think that in our culture and in our society, failure is such a negative thing. It's such a bad thing. You never want to fail. You always want to be perfect. You always want to just have everything be correct and right, and you know, your lines straight, and your T's crossed, your I's dotted. Like, everything is about perfection and doing it right and never making a mistake. And the first time you try, you're successful and it's amazing, and like you can do anything. And if you fail, then you're a failure. that no matter what, no matter what it is, if you don't do it right, or you don't accomplish your goal, or whatever it is, that automatically makes you a failure. And I think that we just get so much into this mindset of, if I fail, then I am a failure. And that in and of itself makes you a prisoner, because just because you fail or you make a mistake, that doesn't make you a failure. You got to keep learning. And as long as you keep that open mindset, again, failure is an option. You don't have to succeed at everything. And if you succeed at everything, you're not really learning. You're just, it'd be awesome to be successful at everything, but at the same time it would also be really boring. Like, if I just was like, I have a dream, here's what's gonna happen, that would be really awesome, and then just everything was perfect and worked out fine. Like, that's not really living. And if it is, then that's probably really low expectations that either I'm setting for myself or that the world has of me. And I think it's important to not be a prisoner of your failures. I think it's important to learn from them and grow from them, and know that as long as you believe in your dream, that failing is going to be a part of that. And if you learn from that and you keep going forward and you keep trying and you keep learning and keep talking to people, find a mentor, do those things, find a coach, that you'll be able to look back and realize, okay, that wasn't so bad. Like Failure is an Option, the book, like he talks about things that like were kind of like super awkward or super devastating or super hard, and then like here he is writing this book. Like, that's pretty awesome. So there are these moments in life where we can feel like a complete failure, but we're really not. And it's really just a matter of being able to be open-minded about how we interpret success and how we interpret failure. Because if we have that blind certainty mentality where we don't realize that we're fishes swimming in water, or that we're people breathing in air, like we're not being aware of all of the things going on, then it limits us. And failure is not a limitation. It's a learning experience. It's meant to help you grow. It's meant to help develop you as a person, to help you reach your goals. And I've failed multiple times in my life. There are plenty of jobs that I have, well, not plenty, but there are jobs that I thought that I would be a shoo-in for, but I wasn't. And that just wasn't meant to be. There are times when I thought when I set a goal for myself and I set the bar too high and I failed at it. But that didn't make me want to stop, because that's really, quitting is really the end all be all. The failing part isn't the end. It's not at all. It's a beginning, because then you have new information to help you be a better person, to help you help other people, to help you achieve your goals. So failure is really just a way to help motivate you to do it better next time and figure it out. So many people who have failed are huge successes because they believed in themselves. They knew that they could see the bigger picture. They knew, like, hey, I'm swimming in this water. Like, okay, yeah, that's what's happening right now. And I have the freedom to create whatever I want and be whoever I want. And you do too. Like, you think about people like Michael Jordan, who got cut from the team, but he became this huge superstar, or Steven Spielberg, who, he got rejected from film school, and, he went on to create these amazing movies. So, it's failure is an option. Failure pushes us to be better versions of ourselves. And I hope that your vision of yourself isn't that blind certainty. It isn't that settling mentality of, oh, I guess I didn't get that promotion that one time, so, I'm just going to be stuck here because there's no other options, there's no other ways out, there's no other opportunities. Or, oh, I didn't lose 10 pounds before I went on vacation, so I guess I'm never really going to lose that weight, or I'm never really going to do that because I'm not good at it. And those are the lies that we tell ourselves that keep us from growing, and as well as trying to see things from other people's perspective. So understanding that the world isn't just your vision of it. There's so many different perspectives of things that happen in this world that are so important to think about. Like, I was thinking about, this is yesterday for me. So I recently had some, sorry, backtracking a little bit. So I am a very empathetic person. And so what that means is that I can pick up on people's emotions and I feel them with them. So if somebody's really happy, I'm really happy with them. I'm like, wherever you're at, I match. So if you're up here and you're like, I feel awesome, then I come up here and I'm like, me too, it's awesome. If you're like, oh man, my day is crummy, it's and the world hates me, I'm like, hey, you don't feel sad. I don't know what to do because you're so sad and I don't. But I try to raise people's vibrations because I generally operate at a pretty high vibration. I didn't always, but I try to operate up here. And also a benefit of being an empath is because I operate up here, I can bring that person up. So if we're here just like at a normal, like, hey, I'm just chilling, I'm just reading my book or watching Netflix or whatever, or I'm cooking, like that's kind of even keel, like nothing really exciting going on. I'm not unhappy, but you know, things are just going. And I meet up with somebody who's here, I try to go, no, things are amazing and wonderful. But sometimes people don't want to be elevated. Sometimes, you know, I try to read into people's thoughts by being that empathetic person and understand, like, is this person just trying to vent and they need to let that out and so I can raise them up from where they're at? Or are they just operating at that low vibration where just nothing is going right? They feel like they're a failure. They feel like they're always going to be a failure. At which point, like, you know, it's the scale isn't going to be even. Okay, so backtrack. So my original story, so my point with that was, I just thought it was funny because, not funny, haha, but I recently I needed a dress tailored. So basically it kind of came in and it just didn't quite fit right, and it just needed some kind of like minor adjustments just to fit the way that I wanted to. Like some of the straps were a little bit big, and then it was a little bit tight in some places, and then it was a little, anyway. So I'm not quite handy enough with a sewing machine to trust myself to unstitch stuff and then try and cut fabric and then put it all together and make it look nice. So I was like, okay, I'll pay the money to have somebody tailor it. So I got a recommendation and I went to the tailor, and English was her second language, and she was super, super nice. And it's so funny because I generally am an outgoing person. Again, I operate at a high vibration, and I thought that it was funny because I could tell that she was feeling awkward because she was like, when I went to go pick up my dress yesterday, because she was like, I want to make sure you're happy, but I don't know how to communicate everything that I want to communicate because there's a language barrier. And so it was like this really weird, like kind of awkward, but I have the benefit of being an empath and not like sensing that she meant it in a bad way, but more like she was proud of her work and I was happy with her work. But there was a language barrier. So it kind of made this weird interaction that like I said, normally I'm like, hey, like, super outgoing and super friendly and super, but I like picked up on her kind of like, I don't know how to talk to you type energy. And so I try to remember that, you know, because she was also an immigrant, I was like, okay, like she has a different perspective of how things should work. So I want to meet her at her level so that way, you know, she feels comfortable with this interaction and that she knows that I'm happy. And I need water, sorry. It's too hot. Well, it's not hot today. It's been hot. So I'm trying to catch up on my hydration. But anyway, so I just thought it was interesting because it's so important to, hi Tasha, thanks for jumping on. And I thought that it was was very insightful. It was a very insightful moment for me, because I think we all get stuck in those moments in life where we're just kind of going and going and going and going, and that we forget that there are other perspectives on certain interactions. And just like it put me in check, because I'm so used to operating again at a certain level, and then when I meet somebody who operates at a different frequency that I do, I kind of have to go, oh, right, and I try to meet them where they're at. And so it was kind of cool, because like I have, so, like I said, we get stuck in our ways, and it's important to keep an open perspective of people and accomplishments, and know that there's more than one way to look at the world. And the failure is an option is so important to me, because like I said, it's about learning, and you're gonna fail, and it's gonna be hard sometimes, I don't know, depending on the size of the failure, but the important thing is that you learn from it, and you keep moving, and you keep pushing, and you keep knowing that whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish is totally doable. There have been people that have come before you who have done it, who've pushed through harder things, who've overcome more difficult things, but they have the vision, they have the dream. Like one of my really good stories that I am relating with right now, which I was going to save for a different live, but it's fine, I'm already there, so we'll just talk about it anyway, is a story about Michael Phelps, and how habits can help us in the challenging times in life. And so the story goes that when Michael Phelps is training to be an Olympian, that basically he visions himself, he envisions his races, he is playing like a video in his head of how his races are supposed to go, how many strokes he's supposed to take to get from one side of the pool to the other, like all that stuff. It's all the mechanics of swimming, all of the mechanics of a race, and all that stuff. That's all like in a movie in his head that he just plays over and over. So basically he's visualizing, right? So, and he has a certain way that he does things, and how he treats his, I guess practicing might be the right word. And so what's interesting about this story is that he has a method that he goes through. So he has a certain song that he's always listening to. He has a certain way to stretch. He has his blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't treat racing any different than he does practicing, because he knows in the practicing he can just like a machine. He just knows how to work. He knows how long it's going to take. And so the story goes that he wakes up and he's in Beijing, and he gets ready to go do one of his races. He does all of his normal stuff, and he dives into the pool, and he starts swimming, and then he notices that his goggles are filling up with water. And rather than panic, rather than be like, oh crap, this is not something that I was prepared for, he switches gears, and his habits just kick in, and he is already like, okay, my goggles are filling up with water. That means I can't see. So what does that mean I have to do? That means I have to figure out how many strokes it's going to take me to get to the end of the pool before I need to flip around. So he mentally calculates really quick how many strokes it's going to take to get him to the other side of the pool. And he's like, okay, well, I've already done X. Like, it's amazing that he can just like split second think all of this stuff. Like, I don't even know how that's possible, but I'm not an Olympian, so there's that. And so he split decision. He says, okay, it's going to either take me anywhere between 19 to 21 strokes. So he starts doing his thing, and then about, I think it's the 20th stroke, he feels the wall, goes back. He gets out of the pool once the race is over. He's won a gold medal. Like, that's amazing. Like, most of the time, for a lot of people, something so minor like that could throw them off and just, you know, be like, oh gosh, there's water in my goggles, I'm not prepared for this. But he had trained for that. He had visualized what would happen if this happened. What happened if water's in my goggles? What happens if I pull a muscle? What happens if this? What this? So he had trained his brain to know how to react already, because he had already done all of that visualization about everything that could go wrong and how to push through that. And I think that kind of ties into failure for me, because I think about what happens if I've set a goal and I don't make it. Okay, maybe I failed, but what did I learn from it? What did I learn from not getting that goal accomplished? Okay, now I learned a better way to do something. Maybe I set the bar too high. Maybe I didn't present myself in the right way. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I didn't devote enough time. There's also, depending on the situation and what the failure is, depends on kind of all the different factors. So there's many different ways that can go. But that's all a part of it, is that just remembering that if you fail and when you do, because again, I'm sorry, it's not if, it's when, because failure is going to happen. It's not a bad thing. It's not the end either. It's a new beginning, and you only really fail when you quit, which is my lock screen picture. I have a picture that says, you only fail when you quit trying. And I live by that. I think it's so important to know that that is the failure, is when you stop trying. That's when you fail, not when you mess up or make a mistake. It's when you quit. Okay. I feel like I've been rambling a lot because I have been. So I'm gonna wrap it up because I had all these ideas, and like I said, normally I try to like keep a good flow, but I like had all these ideas and I was like, I just need to get them out of my head. And sometimes I need to talk through things. I try to keep my thoughts pretty well organized, but sometimes I'm just like, I need to just talk through it. Like when I goal set, sorry, I'm totally just all over the place. It's cool. I goal vomit, and I'm just like, I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, because I like need to get it all out before I can say, that's what I want to do. Here's how I'm going to do it. So that's just my process. But I just had all of these ideas about failure and how like we interpret that as a bad, negative thing, and if you fail, that makes you a failure, and then you can't do anything ever again in life, which is not the case. And I hope that you learn to embrace your failures and you learn from them, and that makes your story at the end of the day even more strong, because it really does. It makes you strong by pushing through your failures. That makes your story strong. That makes you relatable. That makes you an inspiration for other people too. So failure is an option, and it's not a bad one. So anyway, all right, well, I thought I'd say hi to everybody, so here I am, and I hope y'all have a good night. It's Thursday, it's almost Friday. I'm super excited. I'm ready for this week to be over. So anyway, stay cool. Have a good night. Bye.